Ever wish you could, like, get inside the mind of someone who's, like, a total tech visionary? Well, buckle up, because this deep dive, this was a wild ride.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're talking about Bjorn Weston, this Swedish IT expert.
Oh, I've heard of them.
He's tackling these huge tech problems, stuff most of us wouldn't even know where to begin with.
Right.
And get this. Our source is a recent episode of the Tech Wizards Unleashed podcast.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Bjorn really, really went deep. I mean, he covered everything. It was amazing, like wrangling databases to like the future of bioimplants.
Wow.
Yeah, mind-blowing stuff. So get ready to learn how his solutions, which by the way are so elegant, are changing the tech game.
I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that really struck me about Bjorn is how he tackles these tech problems that have stumped people like forever. And he does it in this way that's almost like deceptively simple.
Yeah, it's really rare, especially in tech. I mean, you see all these solutions that are so, like, layered and complicated.
Over-engineered.
Exactly. And Bjorn, he just cuts through all that, finds, like, the most elegant, direct path to the solution.
It's like he found the digital version of Occam's razor, you know?
Totally.
And speaking of elegant solutions, let's talk data for a sec.
Okay.
Because, I mean, isn't it like everybody's drowning in data these days?
Oh, absolutely. It's overwhelming.
It's like drinking from a fire hose.
The amount of data we generate is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is traditional systems, they're just not built to handle it.
Right. So how does Bjorn, like, even begin to deal with this?
Okay. So what's fascinating is he has this multi-layered approach to scaling databases.
Multi-layered. Okay, break it down for me. What's the secret sauce?
Well, he starts with horizontal scaling, which is basically adding more servers to handle the load.
Yeah.
Right? Like imagine you're in a kitchen
Okay.
and you need more counter space to cook, so you expand the kitchen, right? More servers, more space.
Okay. That makes sense. But it's got to be more than just throwing more servers at the problem.
Right, exactly. He combines that with something called intelligent sharding.
Sharding.
Imagine like a giant pizza.
Okay, pizza. I'm with you.
That's your database.
Okay.
And instead of serving the whole thing at once, you cut it into slices.
Right. Shards.
Exactly, shards. And those shards, they get spread out across the servers, making the data like way easier to manage.
Okay, so we got more servers, we sliced up the data, but how does that actually make things faster, more efficient?
Okay, that's where geodistribution comes in.
What?
Geodistribution. And this is like really cool. Imagine those pizza slices.
The shard.
The shards, yes.
Yeah.
Strategically placed around the world.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this. It's
Yeah.
like instead of one pizza place trying to deliver to the entire city.
You have multiple hubs.
Exactly. Everyone gets their slice hot and fresh, no waiting forever. So with geodistribution, the data is closer to the people who actually need it. It's like brilliant, right?
Right. It's all about speed and efficiency. And Bjorn actually, he uses this phrase to sum it all up. Multi-level architecture.
Multi-level architecture. Writing that down. Okay, so it's like he's designing a high-performance data center, not just like cramming everything onto one server in his basement.
Exactly.
Okay, but data overload aside, there's another tech headache we have to talk about. Legacy code. You know, those old systems barely held together. Digital duct tape and a prayer. That's what I'm picturing.
Legacy code. Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Every organization that's been around for a while has to deal with it.
Right.
And it's so tempting to just be like, let's scrap it all and start over.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Clean slate, right. But I can only imagine the nightmare that would be.
Oh, a total logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
And expensive. Plus, you introduce all these new problems potentially.
Sure.
But Bjorn, he gets it.
Okay, so how does he approach these legacy code situations?
So he talks about this approach he calls modular diagnosis.
Modular diagnosis, okay.
It's actually really cool. So instead of automatically doing a complete rewrite, which, let's be real, that takes forever.
And it probably costs a fortune.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He takes this approach where he digs deep into the code.
Oh, so he's like a code detective.
Yes. He's looking for the specific modules or the functions that are causing the headaches.
So he's not tearing the whole system apart. He's like surgically precise with his fixes, right?
You got it. Minimizing the impact on everything else.
It's like, I don't know, fixing a leaky faucet instead of needing to redo all the plumbing in your house.
That's right.
Perfect analogy.
Way less messy and probably way cheaper.
Yeah.
But here's what's really cool. This approach, it totally ties back to his whole philosophy, elegance and simplicity.
Right.
He's not just solving the problem. He's doing it in a way that's smart, efficient.
Yes. And it prevents headaches down the road. And speaking of preventing headaches, His approach to securing the Internet of Things.
The Internet of Things,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a whole other level of complexity.
It is, and it's only becoming more important as we have all these connected devices.
Well, yeah. It's kind of terrifying when you really think about it. I mean, who knew we'd have to worry about, like, our toasters getting hacked?
It sounds crazy, but it's a real concern. But Bjorn, he's got some interesting ideas about this. He's a big proponent of something called edge computing.
Edge computing. Okay, I'll be honest, that sounds a little intimidating.
It's actually simpler than it sounds. Basically, it's about processing data closer to where it's generated.
So not sending everything to the cloud.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
going to the cloud, it can create like bottlenecks, security risks. So with edge computing, some of that processing happens directly on the device itself.
So it's like having a mini computer inside your toaster that handles some of the security stuff.
You got it. And along with that, he talks about lightweight encryption.
Lightweight encryption, so not like Fort Knox level security for my toaster.
Well, exactly. Because these devices, they have limited processing power.
Yeah.
Right? You can't use the same heavy-duty encryption you'd use for, like, your bank account.
Right, so it's finding that balance, security, but also efficiency.
Exactly. Like you were saying earlier, using a bike lock for your mailbox, not a bank vault.
Right, right. You got to choose the right tool for the job. And it sounds like Bjorn's got a knack for doing just that.
Totally.
Hmm.
And he kind of sums it up perfectly when he says, this is a quote, "With IoT, you are limited when it comes to resources, but you can still implement security on multiple levels. I focus on edge computing."
I love that. It's like, yeah, you have limitations, but you can still make it work. Layering those security measures, even on a smaller scale, it just makes so much sense.
It's that whole ounce of prevention thing.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about how Bjorn's tackling some of the biggest problems in tech right now, but get this, his vision for the future.
Okay, what's he got planned?
This is where things get really wild. We're talking about bioimplants, but not like anything we've ever seen before. We're talking like next level stuff here. Think bioimplants that can learn and adapt to our bodies.
Okay, so not just like a pacemaker or something.
No, no, way beyond that. This is like, imagine having a personal medical team living inside you, constantly monitoring and adjusting things.
Okay, now that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right, but Bjorn actually lays out how this could be possible. We're talking implants that don't just keep an eye on your vitals, but they can actually like change medication dosages, even stimulate healing.
Wow. So our bodies basically become these self-healing machines.
Exactly. That's the kind of future he's talking about. And the key to all of this, he says, is using tech like neural networks.
So teaching those implants to understand how our bodies work.
Exactly. It's about these implants making decisions based on what's happening inside us in real time.
It's incredible, but I have to say it also sounds insanely complex. Like, how do you even begin to build something like that?
Well, he had this one quote that really stuck with me. He said, "Bioimplants are on the verge of a revolution. We're essentially creating a closed loop where the implant can receive and process data from the body and respond in real time."
A closed loop. So it's like our bodies become these self-regulating systems, constantly monitoring, adjusting, and keeping us healthy.
Wow. It's a pretty amazing vision, right? Though I have to admit, hearing him talk about all this mind-blowing tech, it did make me wonder, how does someone like Bjorn even unwind? Like, can he ever really shut off, you know?
You know, that's what I found so interesting with this whole conversation.
Hmm.
Even though he's working on these crazy complex problems, he still emphasizes how important simplicity is. Oh yeah, like for him, it's all about finding that work-life balance.
Yeah.
He talks about breaking down those huge problems into smaller, more manageable pieces,
Mm-hmm.
setting boundaries between work and personal time, and making sure to prioritize things like exercise, getting out in nature.
So even tech wizards need downtime.
Totally. It's that whole recharge your batteries idea.
It's good to know that even someone like him recognizes how important that is. Honestly, it's a good reminder for all of us.
Absolutely.
You know, when you really think about it, it's incredible what one brilliant mind can accomplish, right? And it makes you wonder, what if we all try to approach problems like Bjorn does? Not just in tech, but in life. What if we all embrace that idea of elegance and simplicity?
It's a good thought.
It really is. So next time you're facing a challenge, no matter how big or small, remember Bjorn. Break it down, simplify, and never underestimate the power of a little elegance. And on that note, I think it's time we all go unplug and recharge. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those deep dives going.